Tim, we're in another week, another standings released last night, rankings by the College Football Playoff. And you and I traded a couple of texts last week over some of the discussion when it comes to the rankings and much more. So do you feel like, for the most part, with one or two exceptions, last night's standings or rankings went pretty well?
Well, I'm not a big fan of the rankings or the committee, as you well know, but all things considered, last night to me was a little eye-opening in the sense that, and this is a good thing, and I know Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, has already addressed this, but I think it was a little bit eye-opening to see BYU and Utah back-to-back and above Miami, and above, to think of where they were in the rankings and to see that really tells me that there's a very good chance now, and I think it was a foregone conclusion maybe 2 weeks ago, that the Big 12 was going to be staring at one and one only. Now I don't think so quite so much, or at least put it this way. If BYU were to win out and play in the Big 12 title game in a rematch with Texas Tech, and that game was either won by BYU or went down to a field goal, okay, then I think that there'd be a very good chance that both those teams could get into the College Football Playoff, which has got to make a lot of people in the Big 12 feel pretty good. On the flip side, the ACC is in deep, deep, deep trouble, and I think the threat of them not having any teams in and the potential of the group of six getting two and the ACC not being a part of the party is a very real, viable alternative. Unless Miami gets through these last couple of weeks, which they couldn't do a year ago, then I think they could be in some trouble. Georgia Tech has lost its luster, apparently, with a lot of people. And, I'd say they still have an outside chance of making it, but we could see some crazy things happen. I thought that all things considered, Hunter Yurchak did a nice job of dealing with the story with Notre Dame. A lot of people have issues with Notre Dame. I'm not one of them. I think that they've more than proven that they are worthwhile. And even though their loss to Miami happened, teams evolve, and Freeman's teams have continued to evolve in the right direction, whereas Mario Cristobal's teams have not always done that. So there's some scared people in the SEC that thought they were going to get 7 in, maybe 6. Right? I'm serious. I mean, Alabama people are going nuts today. They're going out of their minds because they're behind Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame hasn't played good enough schedule for you. They've shown consistency. I never felt that even with the 4 wins against ranked teams, that Alabama was all there. I told you guys that the last time I was on, and I wasn't shocked at all that Oklahoma won that game. I picked them to win, and they did. And you're 0 for Oklahoma in the last 2 years, and in both cases, they may be costing Alabama a shot at getting in. And I think Auburn is that's not going to be an easy game for Alabama at all. They can't run it already, and Auburn's defense, especially its front seven, is pretty stout. So crazy things could still be down the pike for the Crimson Tide.
I can't believe that they can't run the ball, Tim. I cannot believe
they can't.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those things that just. It's not even they didn't run the ball well this week. It's they didn't run the ball well pretty much all season.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean that's so weird. When go back to the ACC. They're not going to get as much attention because of, there are some tense things happening in the bigger leagues, when it comes to some bigger games in the next couple weeks. But the biggest mess of a rundown to the championship game, and probably one of the biggest reasons that 17-team conferences aren't a great idea, is the ACC, where Miami needs to beat Pitt to make sure that they need to win their next two, to make sure that they get in. They need everybody needs SMU to lose to Louisville this week. Georgia Tech and Pitt could knock one or the other out of it. And then Virginia's just sitting there just having to beat Virginia Tech and hoping everything else goes right around them because they haven't played any of those teams. So it's a mess in the ACC, and it's going to come down to some probably pretty weird tiebreakers in the end, isn't it?
It is. And again, I look out there and I see the teams that are competing for the top spot in the American Conference, by example. Okay. I'm more impressed with what I see there than what I see in the ACC. I mean, look, Morris has done a great job at North Texas. I mean, he's done a great job, but Tulane is there. By the way, you know who is like chomping at the bit about all of that right now? About 3 SEC jobs that are waiting to hire Summerall out of Tulane, and they may make it. They may make the playoffs. So that's going to put a lot of people that are in the decision-making process at a lot of places. I mean, everyone's waiting for the shoe to drop on Kiffin. Once that happens, Summerall is in business. But he can't be in business if Tulane is representing the group of 6. And right now they're poised to be that team. It is wild. But I'm going to tell you the level of play right now in the ACC at its very top, in its top tier, is on par with the American. It is. Flat out is. And the American may not have the kind of depth that those teams in the ACC have, but I think their people at the top, their teams at the top are a little more consistent than the teams in the ACC. I mean, I really felt like Pitt had a reasonable chance of making that Notre Dame game competitive. Boy, was I wrong. Narduzzi's team just got absolutely boat raced. It was over before it started. A lot of people don't understand in the South that Pitt was gaining some traction in the ACC in recent weeks. And for Notre Dame to just blow them out at their house the way they did and dispose of them so easily and so quickly, that's one of the things I think that was in the minds of a lot of the committee members. Listen, I know you guys have gone through a lot and have seen what happens. There's a lot more to the story with Mack Rhoades, I'm sure. But the committee had to make a choice in the middle of that. And going to Yurchek was the choice. And his phone's ringing off the wall now from SEC people going, "What the hell have you done?"
Yeah. I've never understood, Tim, why the hell would you want to be that person anyway?
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. No. I would have respectfully said, no, we're trying to find a coach. We're, are you that much in a barrel that you have to do that?
Yeah.
And again, I go back to this, the committee makeup with all of these administrators, ADs at schools. Okay, fine. We see some coaches that are in there, and that's fine. I know them to be influential. Maybe they influence the room more than others. But man, when they started this thing, I thought that the level of vetting for people to be on that at the time 13-member panel was going to be through the roof. Like trying to get through committees to become okay to be a part of the president's cabinet. And it was going to be that kind of vetting. There's been none of that. There's absolutely none of that. And the notion that when Team A or Team B out of a conference comes up, some of these guys and ladies have to walk out of the room. Like that's going to suddenly stop the influence that those people have. They're going to be dining with them a little bit later, aren't they?
Yeah, they are having drinks. Yep.
Yeah. It's bizarre, all of it.
Tim, you brought it up there. I was going to wait a little while, but what are your thoughts on Aranda, Rhoades, just the whole situation? I know you called the Baylor game not too long ago, but man, it's at a low point, and I don't think there's any way that I can see where you just say, all right, 7 years with Aranda, let's try it one more time. There's no Cody Campbell walking through the door to give you all the best players for his defense, and the defense is by far their biggest issue, but there's also this AD issue now. So what do you do? What do you do if you're in charge?
No, I don't think you do anything right now. I don't, because you got a situation with your AD, and who are you going to put in there to hire whoever is going to replace Dave? And for all that you're concerned with, and I realize you guys are closer to the story than I am, and I'll give you that. But I think sometimes the closer you get to a story, the more clouded it becomes. And, from distance, I mean, Dave Aranda did win you a Big 12 title in 21. I mean, there are a lot of schools that don't have the resources that probably have more resources at Baylor that would love to have a conference title within the last handful of years, and Baylor's got one. I just don't think and here's my major feeling on it, okay? With all the jobs that are open now, just where do you see Baylor in terms of the list of priorities for would-be new head coaches? I would suspect it would be near the bottom.
Yeah, among the ones that are open, you're talking about like the ones that are open: Auburn, Florida, LSU,
Penn State.
Penn State.
Yeah.
I can go on. I mean, you're at the bottom rung, and unless you know who that guy really is, that would be. Listen, I don't know, and I don't know nearly enough about the Mike Rhodes situation to know if he's going to survive this or not. I like Mac. I hope he does. I really like Dave Aranda, and I really think a lot of his character and his integrity. And at the very least, you can make a case, and I'll say this because I was there for that Arizona State game. It was a disappointing crowd to me for a game that early in the season to not have any more people at that game than they did. Now, for the ones that were there, they were active. They were into it. And I felt like the students, for the most part that were there, were active. They were into it. But not a lot of, I mean, there are a lot of coaches out there that are probably thinking to themselves, man, I don't know if we can get that fan base to come back. Post Bryles, post that controversy, Dave Aranda comes in, wins a title for the league and goes to the Sugar Bowl in 21. And that wasn't, they couldn't follow up on that. It wasn't like suddenly the fans all came back. A lot of it has to do with the faith-based character of the fans of my generation, a little bit older, David. I think that's part of it. Maybe they were just offended and will never come back. Maybe that's the case. But those are the people that have the most money to spend. And if they're not showing up and buying season tickets, then what's going on with the younger crowd, that 18 to 49 crowd? You do not get the same vibe at a Baylor home game that you get at other Big 12 home games, and particularly in the state of Texas, which is sad for me to say because I love coming to Waco. Absolutely love it. McLean Stadium is a great environment. People there care deeply. The sports information people are fantastic. Aranda and his staff are as hospitable as they come. I realize people can get tired of hearing coaches say the same thing, which is what you guys have heard a lot of late. And Dave's not the most outgoing or dynamic personality. But all things considered, given the rest of the landscape of college football coaching, this is a year when you want to wait for another cycle of coaching carousel. You don't want to be a part of this coaching carousel because you're going to finish dead last in attracting the people you think you want.
One of the things about it, the disconnect right now is at an all-time low. It is so bad. And the other part of it is there are some up-and-coming, although not all of them have had a good year this year, with Eric Morris at North Texas, Traylor at UTSA. Those could be a reason why you find a way to move on because those guys are there unless somebody else grabs them.
Well, and you know what? Traylor missed his opportunity once. He had a chance. He could have gone to Arkansas, and he didn't. And this may be if you can get him, then I'll listen to you. Okay. Eric Morris I knew him when he was just getting started. The whole thing at Wazoo, and to move over. I mean, he was at Incarnate Word. He kind of was a part of the discovery of Cam Ward. I mean, that guy's a quality coach without a doubt. If you feel like you've got inroads to maybe get either one of those two, I'll listen to you. If you had posed the question to me in that manner, my response might have been different.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking some of the Baylor fans, especially the luminaries of the school, would want a more established head coach, a winning head coach at the Power 4 or Power 5 level. And neither one of those guys have that on their resume. That doesn't mean they're not great coaches and couldn't turn it around in a heartbeat. Listen, Texas Tech identified Joey McGuire while he was an assistant with Matt at Baylor. They did what they did to Matt Wells and fired him with a record of 3-2 at Texas Tech 5 games into the season because they had already identified Joey McGuire was the guy. And if they don't do that, then they don't get him. And look what the so-called high school Harry has done, right? Now in the Big 12. He's done pretty well for himself.
I wanted to, you were just there last weekend, correct, for the UCF game, and you've been there, I think, a couple times. And so you're talking about kind of like the dichotomy right now between the two programs we've been discussing here. How electric is it out in Raiderland right now? And also God. This, Tim, the B side of this, you've seen them enough now. Is this a team that you feel confident can go into the playoff and not just like make it, but go and actually make some noise against some of the teams that people don't think that they can contend with?
Absolutely. They're as good as any one of those SEC teams that are being considered right now for at-large berths. I mean, head up right now, do I think they could beat Ole Miss? Absolutely I do. Do I think they could beat Georgia? No question in my mind. Their front seven is absolutely as good as Georgia's front seven. Now, they may not have the depth. They may not be 3 deep at every position, but you only have to really be 2 deep if you stay reasonably healthy. And listen, Tech has done this now with damaged goods at quarterback. They've had to piecemeal it. They were very fortunate that Will Hammond was good to go when Baron Morton got hurt at Utah. They were equally fortunate that by the time Will Hammond tore his ACL, Baron got well enough to play again. And by the way, the kid that came in for him, Griffiths, the kid that was pouring concrete a little over a year ago, but was the team captain at Wake Forest when he was there, my God, what a get. If they had to go to their 3rd QB, even in a potential playoff game, they could win with that guy. They could. So yeah, I think Texas. I'm a little bit unsure as to whether I'd prefer them getting the open date and winning the league outright, therefore being in a position where their ranking could have them in a bye situation. Because I think having a playoff game in Lubbock would be the bomb. That would be incredible, particularly if an SEC school had to come to Texas Tech. Oh man, would that be special or what? That's one of the reasons why I wouldn't mind seeing, because the way Bachmeier is playing and after what he did, and trust me, I talked to Sonny Dykes today, as good as they thought Bachmeier was, and he was pretty good, he played great the other night against TCU. I mean, he was unstoppable in that game. If BYU could get Texas Tech again, and maybe through a few things bouncing their way, maybe get a rematch and win the Big 12 championship, I think both of them could make hay if they were both in the college football playoff. But there's a side of me that really wants an SEC or a Big Ten school to have to travel to Lubbock. So if they maintain that seeding at somewhere between 5 and 8, that would be fantastic for that fan base. And I think really good for college football to realize that Texas Tech is that good. They could spend as much or more than some of the Blue Bloods, and they'll always be able to get those players because they're fast becoming that in today's college football.
Tim, I'm curious your opinion, and it kind of feeds into the Baylor thing about supporting coaches outside of maybe some other things. I think Baylor is actually okay on NIL, but it's kind of the other things around it that they need to kind of put more effort into on game day. But in the Big Ten, 2 coaches, Mike Loxley and Luke Fickell, are being retained when, most of the conventional wisdom said, they're going to run these guys out at the end of the year. And basically when the athletic directors and presidents made these announcements, they said, we're going to have a larger financial commitment to the football team, which makes me wonder what they thought they were going to try to get in the bargain bin in 2025. How much now is really on the coaches and not the administrators to back it like a professional owner would?
Oh, absolutely. And you wonder why this private equity story in the Big Ten is such a big deal, and why Michigan has allegedly threatened to secede from the union. It's because a lot of those coaches at a lot of those schools no, they're not getting. They're making money for these schools, but what's being done with the money from those schools that they're making in football? Are they reinvesting it into their football program? Not everywhere. Not everywhere. And a lot of these blue states, man, they don't have it. I mean, poor PJ Fleck, who I think would be a great hire at a lot of places. I mean, at a lot of places, particularly if he had resources. What he could do at a place that would give him, an NIL budget of say somewhere between 17 and 20 million would be pretty incredible. He doesn't have that where he is, and it's different in certain places. Matt Rule's got it at Nebraska. He's in great shape there, but at Minnesota, it's not there. They're not spending it. And at Maryland, one of the reasons why Loxley is going to be fine is because he knows and can recruit that area and get the players right out of high school that are considered 4 and 5 stars. They're not going to pay for a 5-star that's someplace else to bring him in. He's got to get them as freshmen and then hold on to them, re-recruit them, so to speak. And because he was born and raised in that area, that helps him. The situation with Fickle is this. He didn't just suddenly fall off a turnip truck when he got the job at Wisconsin. He had 3 starting quarterbacks. One of them, Van Dyke kid from Miami, all get hurt, blew out their seasons, gone for the year in their first games of the season. I mean, that's just hard luck. That's just a bad luck situation. Now, he got in some trouble with the fans because he went to the air raid for 1 year when he hired Phil Longo away from North Carolina, who had been with Mac Brown. Brought him in, and then after he lost the quarterback, he blew the offense out, went back to the old school, and then they lost their identity. So Luke was in some serious trouble, but his team resurrected his situation with the way they played for him. We had them on the road at Oregon. They were in that game late. It was 7-0 at halftime. They only lost 21-7, totally outmanned in that game. And I think that it doesn't hurt when the godfather of Wisconsin football, Barry Alvarez, says, you're not moving that guy. You're not moving him. And Barry still runs the show. Even though he's in an emeritus status, his word is what counts the most in Madison.
Tim, last thing, and this is what we texted back and forth. You had seen the Eli Drinkwitz quote in the about the college football playoff, and it's either that or bust. And you responded to that. You want to share that with our audience?
Well, I think there's a lot of truth to it. And I mean, a lot of truth to it. The way the sport is being promoted, the way ESPN has handled it, in my opinion, very poorly. The 3 worst words in sports television now: all state playoff predictor. I mean, they do that from week 1 forward. I mean, my God, can we enjoy the games just a little bit? Just a little. I mean, I wouldn't mind that at all. And now we're seeing, don't say they don't have influence, because clearly they do. They being the guys putting out the narrative on a daily basis with these godforsaken embrace debate shows where today, Stephen A. Smith basically said Mississippi is burning again, okay? That there's no way Ole Miss can hold on up against competition like LSU in Florida to the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes because the brothers don't want to go to Mississippi. He actually said that on the air. This is your $100 million man that you've invested a quarter, $25 million in for the next, 4 years, 5 years, something like that. And this is your number one voice. This is your face of the network that is saying this about one of the institutions that your company has a long-standing television deal with that is in the South. And it's clearly a reflection to me of what Stephen A. thinks of Mississippi, what he thinks of the South, and and those words matter. They matter. And I will tell you, as a Southerner and as a native of Louisiana, and with a daughter that graduated from Ole Miss and a daughter that went to LSU, I'm offended by it. I think it's wrong, and it should never happen. But it does, and it does on a regular basis. But with the state of the game being where it is, gentlemen, the state of the game itself is in great shape if we just promote the game first. if we tell the stories of the players first, if we talk about the history and the lineage of the game and how this or that coach was able to work his way up the ranks first. We're not doing that anymore. It's all about who's in, who's out, and the all-state frickin' playoff predictor. Are you blanking kidding me? That's what's wrong. Presentation is wrong, and that's on us. And when I say us, I mean those of us that are broadcasting the game. Somebody wants to say to me, oh, you old curmudgeon, you old man, you've lost this. You say it all you want. Brando, we're tired of your rhetoric. Well, guess what? I'm going to annoy the hell out of you for a long damn time because I care about this game, and the people that are broadcasting it should care about it too. And by connection, even though he's not involved in the game, he's creating the narrative. Stephen A. Smith said something that was reprehensible today, and no one is going to call him on it. Why do you suppose that is?